Hello students, good morning. Today we will study the chapter 1, Don Quixote and the Windmills. You may think why Miss is pronouncing as Don Quixote, but the spelling is different, but saying is like this. You see in your book, down you see there is written Don Quixote. Say Don Quixote. Okay. So though the spelling is different, but the saying is like this. And it is a very beautiful story. I hope you already might have studied, already might have read. And see, here it is given about the Spanish poet or novelist. He is a very famous poet, and he in this story it is given about his achievement of adventure. Okay, so let us read what it is said. In the text that we are about to read, the central character Don Quixote imagines that he is one of the brave knight, means he thinks that he is a brave knight. Knight means the soldier, okay, trained soldier. And he thinks that more than that, no stronger knight is there in the world that we read about in stories. He acts like a brave man and dreams of having adventure. He acts as if he is the bravest one, and he dreams of a great adventure. His imagination makes him find adventure where there is no adventure at all. Means according to his imagination, he makes possible that he wants to find the adventure where there is no adventure at all. Thus leads to funny situation. At last he imagines that he wants to achieve adventure, and last he finds that his dreams becomes funny one. Okay, it becomes in funny situation. One day Don Quixote decided to set off in search of adventure. One day he started his journey in search of adventure. But first he went off to talk to Sancho Panza. But before he started his journey, he went to Sancho Panza to ask his help. Sancho Panza was a foolish man who lived with his wife and children. He was a very simple man, and he was living with his wife and children. Now, Sancho Panza, get ready. I need a squire to share my adventure and help me on the journey. He went to Sancho Panza and telling that, Sancho Panza, first you get ready. I need you to share my adventure, and I need your help on my journey. Will you go with me? Will you come with me? He is asking. What is the reply of Sancho Panza? But, sir, I am only a poor laborer, and how can I leave my family behind? Sancho Panza is telling that, sir, I am just a simple man, poor laborer, and how can I leave my family behind and go? Don Quixote was not one to back down, means he was not a man to give up his wish or will. So he is telling, we will defeat many knights, gather many riches, and conquer many kingdoms. We will defeat many knights, and we will gather many kingdoms. In return for your service, I will make you the governor of an island. As a reward for your service, I will make you the governor of the island. Just think of how grand that would be. Means he is telling him the promise. If your honor will promise me this, I will gladly serve you. Now Sancho Panza is agreeing to go. He is telling that if you promise this, surely I will come with you to serve you. My dear students, you see down there are word meanings. This also please study. Don Quixote say Don Quixote. Okay, knights means specially trained soldiers or high rank. Set off means to begin a journey. Sancho Panza, how to say the name? Say Sancho Panza. Require, square, a assistant to a knight. Back down means to give up. Now that the Don Quixote had a square, nothing could stop him from having grand adventure. Means now already he has got the assistant with him and no one can stop him in achieving the adventure. But there was a small problem. Sir, I cannot run very fast and I have no horse to ride upon. May I follow you on my donkey? Sancho Panza is telling, sir, I don't have horse like you to ride. So shall I follow you with my donkey? Now Don Quixote is telling, none of my books tell me that squires ride donkeys. But yes, you may bring the animal along. Once we find a disrespectful knight, we shall defeat him and take his horse. Okay. Means Don Quixote is telling, no books tell me that squire must ride only a donkey. But then once we find the disrespectful knight, and when we defeat him, we shall take his horse. Until then, you can ride the donkey. Okay, till then you can ride the donkey. One evening, Don Quixote and Sancho Panza set out. Once it was evening time and they started their journey, ready for the excitement of adventure. Suddenly means they are ready to go to find the adventure. Look over there, my friend. There are at least 30 great giants standing there. I shall fight and defeat them all. Now Don Quixote is telling, my friend, you see there, at least 30 of them are great. 30 great giants are standing there, and I will fight with them, and surely I will defeat them. As he raced his horse forward, the wind rose and the sails began to move. As the Don Quixote raced his horse forward, means started going ahead, the winds rose. The wind rose and the sail began to move. The sail means it is given the one page was missing. Over there waving, there along arms at us. Means please look again, sir. Those are not giants. They are windmills. What you call their arms are really their sails. Means the Don Quixote is telling that their sails are moving forward. So those sails are not really giants, they are windmills. They move round and round in the wind to make the millstones turn. Means when the wind blows, they move round and round to make the windmill turn. Okay, millstone turn. So they are not really the giants, they are the windmills. But then Don Quixote is not believing the Sancho Panza and he is going on his way. But Don Quixote did not listen. He was sure that the windmills were giants, but he was quite sure that they are really the giants. They are not windmills. He prepared to attack them and he was ready to attack them. It is quite clear to me that you know nothing about adventure. Now Don Quixote is telling to Sancho Panza, you know nothing about adventure, and I know it is very clear that they are giants. They are standing there. I tell you, they are giants. If you are afraid them, then you can stay here. If you are afraid, then you can stay here. I shall go forward and fight the battle. I will go alone and I will fight the battle. Now see, Sancho Panza was introduced as a foolish man. Now he was introduced as a foolish man. Windmills. Windmills means buildings or structure with large blades on the outside that move when turned by the force of the wind. Earlier, windmills had sails in place of blades. Millstones. Large flat stone used to crush grain to make flour. To make the grain flour, earlier it was used the large piece of stone is called millstone.